This is a how-to on changing the oil in an E90X M3. This is going to be pretty straightforward. I already have my supplies right here. Pretty simple. I'm going to lift the car first, drain the oil out, lower it back down, open the hood, and change the filter before filling it back up. And I will show you how to do that each step of the way. So lifting this car is pretty straightforward, easier than most modern cars in my opinion. They have thought to include a center jack point under the car. Right there. Okay, where the pad is. So you can just take your floor jack and lift it on that spot and put your floor or jack stands on these plastic pads. Right here. One on each side. Okay? Alright, so now with the car up in the air, here are the plugs that you will need to drain. So this engine has two kind of humps for the oil pan. So it's got two oil pickups. So because of that, there are two drain plugs. One over there, this is the main sump, and one over here. Okay. Yeah. And these are both going to be 5mm hexes, or 6. I'll confirm in the video. So go ahead and drain both. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drain the main sump first and then the secondary one. And while I'm doing that, I'm also going to unscrew the oil cap so that oil could, flow a little bit easier. You could leave it like that, that'll be fine. Alright, so it is a 6mm, so go ahead and grab one of those. Get your drain pan ready under your car and crank away at it. So I am doing the oil change with the car hot, and just be mindful if you are doing that, then just watch out that you don't burn yourself when you start draining the oil. There's one. So I'll let that drain. And while that's going on, I'll show you that the plug has a crush washer, which you should replace every time. The size is an M12, and I got 2 of them here for the other one also. I'm also going to take a paper towel and just clean this right up. You could also use brake clean, that'll work too. So another quick tip while this oil is draining is that take this time to watch this gap, okay? Around your oil pan, because right now I could stick a finger in all the way around, no problem. What happens with these cars is it's pretty common for the motor mounts to fail and sag the engine one way or the other, and when that happens, basically you're gonna notice an uneven gap between the oil pan and this underbody shield, under tray thing right here. So I've seen videos where you couldn't even get a finger in between this and the oil pan. If that happens, your motor mount is probably bad and needs to be replaced. Alright, so here are the 2 drain plugs ready to go back in the car, and the car is done draining, so I'm going to install and torque the drain plugs back to spec, which is 18 foot-pounds, and then I'm going to lower the car and finish up top. Cool. With that, we are done under the car, so you can go ahead and drop it back down. Alright, now we're going to change the oil filter. So, this is the oil filter housing. I think you need a 32mm socket to get that off, but before that, I'm going to take a bunch of paper towels. It shouldn't make too much of a mess, but just in case, I'm going to just surround the housing with it. Okay. And remove it. Pretty simple. And here is the new filter kit. So this is just a Beck Arnley kit. These two copper washers, I just use some generic ones, but these are for the drain plugs. This little O-ring right here, this one, is for oil filter housing. As you can see, this one is a little chewed up. So that's for that. And the big O-ring is right here. Okay, so just go ahead and replace them all. For the O-rings, this little, you can get a set of these at Harbor Freight for like $3. Comes in real handy for taking out O-rings like this. Okay. Like that. And whenever you install new O-rings, and I'll take this out too, is, you know, apply a dab of old engine oil that you just removed, and it'll install a lot easier. This is the small O-ring. Okay, that's installed. Okay. And install the new filter. I don't think this has an orientation. New filter, I'm going to install this top down. Okay. And it'll kind of slot in place. And go ahead and thread this all back in. Alright, so have this assembly and go ahead and install it back. And the torque spec for this is written on the cap here. 25 Newton meters. So. Okay. That started. Now I could remove this. When you tighten this, remember that this is 25 Newton meters and not foot pounds, okay? So now you're going to finally fill your engine. The capacity for this car is like 9.5 liters or something like that. But I'm going to start with 8, just because I know when you do an oil change, not everything gets completely drained out. For example, from the oil coolers and from the angle the car's on and whatever. So I'm going to start with 8, because it's also always easier to add oil than to remove it. We'll let the car warm up, see what the electronic dipstick says, and we'll go from there. The oil that I'm using is this Motul 1060. So I'm gonna put all of this in, and then 3 more quarts from the other bottle. Alright, that's 8. We are good there. Well, for now, again, we're gonna let the car warm up and get a readout from the electronic gauge and add more as we need. But for now, button everything back up, tighten the oil cap. So now I'm going to go inside the car, start it up, get it back on flat ground. Again, let it warm up, do its thing, and we'll come back to it. So by now the cars has some time to think about how much oil it's got, and this is what it is saying. So remember, I put about 7.5 quarts in it, and the line between the lower arrow and the upper arrow is 1 quart. So basically what that means is I need to add another half a quart and then I'll be good. So I'm gonna do that and we will be done.